Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Robert Phoenix. I am back, albeit a little bit late today. Um, I had to take Jasper man to the vet this morning. Wasn't feeling so good, so it looked like he was on the rebound yesterday, but kind of went to a little bit of a funk last night. Anyway, nice country vet, and it was actually a really good experience. Everybody at the vet, in terms of the staff, weren't wearing any masks. How about that? Good morning, Steve. Nice to see you. So it was great to have a mask free staff. Hi, Lisa Marie. What's happening? Nice to see you. Anyway, just going to kick back a little bit and have a little little bit of my energy drink. Hi, Judy. Nice to see you. There's Ryan. Hi, Ryan. Good to see you as well. Danica Rose, Laura D, Liam, Michael R, coming in, checking in from Wyoming. Frank Bry. Hi, Frank. Jasper is better. I mean, last night he was feeling like crap. What's going on, Michael? Good to see you. Um, so yeah, it's like as a pet owner, it's always strenuous. When your animals get sick, and he was in a really bad place last night. I was thinking, should I take him to 24-hour care or something like that? I mean, you just feel terrible if I woke up in the morning and Jasper would have expired. That would have been really a bummer. But he was okay, and not a hairball. So Jasper enjoys raw meat, and I gave him some raw meat the other day, and he apparently was a little probably on the fermented side. So I think it didn't sit well with his tummy, and so he got a little infusion of fluids, and he got a what else did he get? Anti-nausea medicine and some antibiotics. So we'll see where he goes. But he's up and about, moving around. There's Lil, Fup77, Tamrigar, T. Jordan, Natasha Lloyd. Hi, Natasha. I hope you were able to get in touch with Kestrel. Great to be here. Finally finished with physical therapy for the foreseeable future. I'll drink to that. Debisu letting us know she'll only be here for 20 minutes. So I'm going to make sure she gets the best 20 minutes of the show. Let's see. There's Cheryl. Hey, what's going on, Sherry? Good to see you. There's Jacqueline. Tinfoil Tiara in the house. J.R. Williams. Hello, hello, hello. And let's see. Sherry, I'd love to find out what's going on in those hospitals over there in the UK. How crowded are they? It's really interesting monitoring the COVID, Corona, whatever you want to call it, news. Hey, Justice. Michelle Taylor's back. Good to see you, Michelle. I was listening to the radio. Country radio. That's where I got it set. Country radio. Finally got up early enough for a live one. Congratulations. There's Teresa. Hi, Teresa. And all the news is about nothing but coronavirus. That's it. New cases here, new cases there. There's a spike in cases where college students are returning to school. 33, 35, 45, 100,000%. Now we got, 545 strains of coronavirus. I mean, I swear to God, this is what the news is. It's all corona 24/7, pretty much. The thing is mind-blowing. It's just absolutely, utterly mind-blowing. I feel the people resisting. We need to feel it a lot more. So, hey, Joe Mama, what's going on? Good to see you. So I went to a restaurant on my birthday on Tuesday night. And went in. This clown jumped in my face, told me that I had to wear. He jumped in my face, told me I had to wear a mask. That was ridiculous. He jumped in my face, like he physically was trying to block me from getting in. Oh, look at that! Sherry says UK hospitals are very quiet. Gee, I wonder why. Well, thanks, Natalie. I should have sneezed. No, I have a better plan for Mr. Abusive jump in the face guy. No, I got a better plan for that. Anyway, let's just say didn't eat at that restaurant. Hey, John G, what's going on? Good morning to you. So I'm not going to be doing a huge, you cared deeply about, oh, yes, I'm sure he did. The guy was a complete fucking dick. I'm telling you that right now. Just a dick. It was it was one of those situations where, this is what happens now. There are people who have been transgressed, they've been bullied, they've been marginalized. And guess what now? They have a little power. They have a little power. And even as somebody as humble as a waiter, and I've been a waiter before in my life, I've waited on tables. Now they've got the power. Oh boy, they're going to distribute the power. Yeah. They will distribute the power. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they've been, again, these people don't have a lot of power theoretically in their lives, right? They really theoretically don't. So when it comes time, when they have the opportunity to use the big stick, they'll use the big stick. That's their moment, whether they consciously are aware of it or not. Yeah. Starry night dreams. Exactly. COVID has given people an excuse to have a power trip. Totally. And they're loving it. The people that are cooking the open air experiment, which we've been talking about, by the way, they're loving it. They love it. They love to see people turn on each other, create the data, all the stats, all the things that go along with it. I'm surprised Weird Al Yankovic hasn't done a parody song, My Corona, to the tune of My Sharona. Yeah, I think there's also the potential to do a parody on, remember that song? I think it was, who was it? It was the OJs, Smiling Faces, right? Smiling faces, sometimes they don't tell the truth. Like somebody could do a parody of that with Contact Tracers. They could kind of do the whole thing. Contact tracers, sometimes they ain't got no proof, right? A facade of power is not real power, therefore it will fizzle out. I'd agree with that. Boris was the London mayor during the 2012 Olympics and one of the first leaders to claim to have CV. Oh, that 2012 Olympics, what a ritual that was. Holy crap. Yeah, Boris, we know where Boris is. Awaken with JP has done some funny videos about the virus. His last video was not so funny. I love that guy. He's hilarious. But this last video is not so funny. Yes, the guy at Hope Depot, when I was running a truck, who wouldn't sell me one. After we chatted, towards the end, the manager made him give me the truck. He said he thought masks were stupid. Wearing a mask gives these weak-minded mask enforcers even more confidence. Of course. Absolutely. His spoof on California was, I think he actually lives in California, if I'm not mistaken. That was like the least spoofy thing he's done. He's very funny. but this was bordering that skit was bordering on pathos. Yes, I heard the CDC is now saying no mask is accurate. I don't know. They change the program every 2 weeks now, and of course they want to change the program because that's part of the experiment. Um, I'm going to show you some stuff today. It's not going to be a long show today, by the way, because well, I was off at the vet and I didn't have a lot of time to create a bunch of material. But the material that I will show you, I think, will disturb you. And it's meant to be disturbing for a particular reason, mostly because you need to see it and wake up. And I'm sorry if it feels like I'm hitting you over the head with certain things. It's because, well, I am. Let's see. I'm just cruising some headlines here. This one's for you, Sherry. It says 10,000 a day contracting COVID-19 in UK. Health Minister Hancock as he urges people to download the new tracing app. This is without any real facts. Like there's no real facts going on here. There's no real stats. There's no real data. Now they can just say whatever the fuck they want. 10,000 a day. Contracting COVID-19 in UK, says Health Minister Hancock. Up to 10,000 a day. Really? Really? The statement came after recorded infections rose by 6,178 overnight. The highest daily spike in coronavirus cases since May 1st. So here's a big second wave. UK isn't taking a Swedish approach to coronavirus crisis. FM Rab. Watch out for this guy, Rab. And all you good people in England probably know all about him. Dominic Raab. He would be running your country one of these days. I guarantee you. And not a good dude. The app is being offered as Britain braces for a second wave of infections. Daily case numbers are rising at rates not seen since the peak of the pandemic. Why do you think it's happening? Why do you think it's happening? They're already tracing every smartphone, know exactly what other smartphone it meant, but they don't want you to know, so they invented this app to make it legal. Absolutely. To prolong the lives of the 0.6% very old, severely sick by a few weeks, we will destroy lives, steal your jobs. Yes, yes, yes. 10,000 people a day are contracting COVID-19 in Britain. Stop testing and the figure would be zero. We just have the regular flu as usual. Bearing also in mind that the flu is the cold weather phenomena, late autumn, winter, early spring. Why and how on earth is COVID spreading? Still a mystery. It is supposedly just the flu. What is the mortality rate? I want it as a function of age and pre-existing condition. Some people are saying that it is less than 1%. Others say much less. Either way, none of this is justified. Political agenda. People know everything that's going on for the most part. But then you have the useful dupes who continue to buy into the scam. They continue to buy into the scam. That's what's going on. And even today, today was refreshing. When I went to the vet, not a single person working at the vet wore a mask. Some people came in with masks, some people didn't come in with masks. At the very least, it was a good sign that one business has decided that the mask stuff was ridiculous. I'm going to play you a video here. Now, I don't know if it's staged or not. This is just coming across my screen. I mean, literally, I haven't even had time to look at this, but I'm going to play it, and I'm going to just see how this plays out. Now, let me set the stage here. It is a mother sitting all by herself, is tased and arrested for not wearing a mask at an 8th grade football game. Let's see where this takes us. Again, I'm just sharing this with you for the first time. I don't have any. So you're seeing it and I'm seeing it for the first time together. So let's check this out. Here we go.
It's over a mask, really? That's unreal. It's a warning. You get a warning and then it's a $500 fine. You don't get arrested. You don't get arrested. Good job. In other news, the Marietta Tigers are beating Logan 22-6. Oh my God, he just tased her.
Wow.
What the fuck?
Wow.
That's unreal. All because this lady didn't have a mask and she didn't want to leave because she's watching her kid play football. That's unreal. Hey, where's your mask? Hey, where's your mask?
We're stuck together now, right, guys? We've done this how many times together?
Wow. Wow. I'm kind of speechless on this. Wednesday, a Marietta school parent was detained and arrested during an away game, middle school football in Logan. The Logan Police Department says that the incident is currently under investigation. All right, I'm going to replay this and break this down a little bit. It's the first time I've seen this. And I have a number of thoughts here as I watch this, besides horror, abject horror. So here we go. We have the Karen. This is the Karen. She is the one that is running the operation here. As always, there's the muscle. They operate generally in twos, sometimes threes, and usually in an official capacity, there will be three. But the Karen, obviously, not obviously, but I don't believe she's in an official capacity. Now, when they're in official capacity, there's the muscle, and then there is the logistics person who is going to essentially do the stuff like the reading of the rights and all the things that Mr. Muscle Guy will not do. All right, so Karen here is actually calling for more backup. Watch her.
It's over a mask, really?
And now you've got these absolutely useless pieces of shit sitting in the stands and doing absolutely nothing. But they have enough synaptical frisson in their brains at some point to actually comment on the game. Let's watch. See, look, now she's calling for backup. You see this? Karen's calling for backup. You got a kid watching all this. Oh, that's great for his development. And of course, they got the cheering going on, completely oblivious to the absolute over-authoritarian rule of the emerging police state. Here comes the backup that Karen has requested.
That's unreal.
Oh, that's unreal. That's unreal.
It's a warning. You get a warning, and then it's a $500 fine.
It's a warning, and then you get a $500 fine. It's like, and then you get arrested. Well, she should be getting a warning. Why don't you get off your ass and go protect this person?
You get arrested. You don't get arrested.
You don't get arrested.
Good job.
Oh, good job. Good job.
In other news, the Marietta Tigers are beating Logan 22-6.
Oh, and they're just chuckling. They're just having a fine old time. Ha ha ha.
Oh my God, he just tased her.
Oh my God, he just tased her. And that's not enough. Well, what would be enough? What would be enough for these people to get off their asses and then inject themselves into the situation and tell them to get these guys to back the fuck off? What would it take?
Taser, wow.
Taser, wow.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Wow.
And yet they do nothing. And Karen's got the mask down past her nose.
Unreal.
Now here comes some guy. Hey, can I help out somehow? Do you need another pair of hands to hold her down? I'll be more than happy to help you do that. Let me get in there and get a piece of this action.
All because this lady didn't have a mask and she didn't want to leave because.
Yeah, and all because you sat there on your fucking ass and did nothing.
She's watching her kid play football. That's unreal.
Yeah, right. And you know what? Then there are people out there who are championing this. They're cheering this. They say, good for her. Good for them. I'm glad.
Hey, where's your mask?
Right.
Hey, where's your mask?
Remember, we're connected together now, right, guys? We've done this how many times together?
They're just laughing. They're laughing at her. They are laughing at her. Wow. There you go. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on that? Outrageous and pathetic. Yep. Order followers and authoritarians, invasion of the body snatchers. None of these people have a soul. I don't want to live anywhere near them, but sadly, you can tell who is buying the con. This mom is showing up to support her son, and this happened. Yep. I bet they would be laughing at her when she returns with an AK-47. At least he taped it to document and share. He should have helped her. Oh, that's easy for people to point their cell phones. They've got people conditioned to do that. Masses will not care until Soylent Green runs out. I was asked to leave a casino last night, rolling dice, Karen. The stick woman told me to bring my face mask over my nose. I called her N-A ***. I'm sure they've all seen the Hunger Games. It looks like people think these incidents are just video games. Record culture, absolutely. Absolutely heartbreaking for the kids watching this. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Well, let me show you what else they've got going on in schools. It's probably a good segue into this next piece of horrific video I'm about to share with you. And again, I'm sorry if today's content is a little dark, but it's kind of essential viewing. So the last 2 days, I've been getting into this theme of the open air experiment, that we're all in some kind of Skinner box now. Each and every one of us, and even the ones that choose not to participate or don't consent, we're part of the experiment. We're actually in a planetary, technocratic Skinner box. And yesterday we looked at Australia, what Dan Andrews wants to do, which is essentially pit people against one another, add a new variable into the global prison experiment, the GPI or GPE. And now I'm going to show you just how drastic this experiment has become, and how frightening. Overnight, our world has transformed itself into a nightmare, a living nightmare. This is actual footage from a school in Portland, Oregon. This is how they are going to address the issues around the so-called virus during the school year. And this comes from A Plain Truth 5, which is a great channel. If you haven't caught his material, I highly recommend it. So I'm gonna play this video, and your jaw is gonna drop if you haven't seen it already. Here we go. The video is titled School Prison, Project Isolation, and Humiliation Begins in USA Inc. So the idea that America is the land of the free, that idea has been absolutely and utterly dismantled. Watch this and try to hold back throwing your nearest projectile at your viewing screen.
When students return to on-campus instruction this year, GP Middle School will begin using a pod system to help ensure the safety of all students and staff. Students will be assigned to a pod prior to their first day of on-campus instruction. In these pods, using district technology, students will complete work for their core classes and some of their electives. Upon arrival at the school, GP Middle School students will be dropped off and use the stripes on the concrete to maintain social distancing while they wait to be screened at the front door. After being screened, students will walk on the middle red lines to their assigned spot in the hallway, where they will wait until school starts. At that time, an adult will tell you when to go to class. Rather than have students rotate from class to class, as has been the norm in past years, teachers will instead rotate between these student pods to provide supervision and instruction. This will minimize the amount of interpersonal contact occurring each day. Students will be allowed.
Did you hear that? This will minimize the amount of interpersonal contact occurring each day. Here we go. Let's play a little more.
To leave their pods in order to attend.
Leave their pods.
And specific electives like band that depend upon in-person rehearsal or specialized technology. When moving through the halls, students should only walk on the right-hand side of the hallway to help control the flow of traffic. You still must maintain a distance of 6 feet from other students while walking.
Do you hear the little victorious music going on in the background? It's like, ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. We're doing something here. Oh, yeah. We're marching our way towards complete and utter fucking disaster is what we're doing.
When students wish to use the restroom, the student's teacher will enter the student's name and destination into our online tracking form. Each pod will be assigned to a particular restroom. Students should make their way to the restroom by walking on the right-hand side of the hallway. When they arrive, they should let the staff member.
So there's a staff member there waiting to check them in to the restroom.
Who is outside the restroom know that they're there, and they will record the information in the online tracking form. When it is their turn to use the restroom, the staff member will let them in. When they leave the restroom, the staff member will enter the student's name into the online tracker, and the student should return to the class by walking on the right-hand side of the hallway. When the students enter the classroom teacher will update the online tracker. During lunch, students will eat in the classroom. Students will have their lunch brought to them by campus staff. Students will also get 2 outside mask.
Well, this is their prison yard time right here.
Breaks during the morning and 2 mask breaks in the afternoon. Students will need to request this break from their classroom teacher and walk to the front doors of the building, utilizing the right-hand side.
That looks like they're having a whole lot of fun, right?
Of the hallway. During your outside break, you may walk without your mask on the path that will be laid out for you.
Oh, you can walk without your mask on the path that will be laid out for you
by our staff members. Students are still expected to maintain social distancing. At all times, students and staff should maintain safe distance and wear appropriate safety equipment. As always, our highest priority is to maintain a safe and healthy learning environment.
Oh, yes, that's your highest priority, a safe and healthy. No, your highest priority is to dehumanize these kids and traumatize them so that at some point they will be willing slaves. Willing slaves, you are working on the enslavement of our youth. That's what your highest priority is.
For everyone.
Where is this Gregory Portland? Where is this Gregory Portland? Where is this Gregory Portland School? It's in Portland, Texas. Gregory Portland Independent School District. Where is this? This is in Texas. Can you believe this shit? Let's see. Check it out. GPEISD. Oh my God. So where is this? Corpus Christi, right around there? Oh my God. This is bizarre. This is totally bizarre. I should phone these people. Let me get my phone. Hold on. Let's phone them up. All right. I'm going to see what happens when I call these people. And I'm going to have to run it off my my speakerphone here. Hold on. Let's try this. Let's see what happens.
You have reached the Gregory Portland Independent School District Administrative Offices. If you know the extension of the party you are trying to reach, you may dial it at any time. Otherwise, listen carefully to the following options as the menu has changed. For Human Resources, press 1. For the Business Office, press 2. For Safety and Security, press 3. For the Superintendent's Office, press 4. For Communications, press 5. For Curriculum, including Federal Special Programs, Testing.
Let's try the superintendent. Let's go straight to the top.
Welcome. For Assistant Superintendents, press 1. For Superintendent, press 2.
Let's go straight to the top.
You've reached the desk of Cindy Hartley. I'm either away from my
Now, Cindy's not there.
Please leave it.
Let's try something else. Let's try this. We're going to get somebody.
You have reached the Gregory Portland Independent School District Administrative Offices. If you know the extension of the party you are trying to reach, you may dial it at any time. Otherwise, listen carefully to the following options as the menu has changed. For Human Resources, press 1. For the Business Office, press 2. For Safety and Security, press 3. Wait while I transfer your call.
Good morning, Safety Security Command Center. This is Kevin. How may I help you?
Yeah, hey, Kevin. I'm with the Fitzgerald School District, and we've just been watching your very impressive video on school safety and coronavirus and all the measures you're taking. It's very, very impressive.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so we wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Maybe we could implement some of your ideas with what we're doing out here in Fitzgerald. So how are the kids responding to it?
You know what? Hold on. Let me transfer you over to my boss. He can probably help you out more than I can. What did you say your name was?
Yeah, I'm with the Fitzgerald School District here.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hello, this is Michael Thamey.
Yeah, hey, Michael. I'm with the Fitzgerald School District, and we've been watching your video about the coronavirus and COVID and all the safety measures that you guys are taking. It's quite impressive.
Well, thank you. few out there.
Oh, it's the video where you're demonstrating how the kids are lining up in front of the lockers, and then they have their breaks, and how the lunch is being brought to them. You're familiar with that one, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the pod videos, because we kind of made some specialized ones per campus, and then we had one that was district wide that was kind of these rules apply to all campuses. But like I said, we've had a few.
Yeah. So how's that working out for you guys? How are the kids dealing with the whole pod the pod experience?
Well, so at the moment we have only part of our students are still here. So sixth grade, ninth grade, and 12th grade, and then next week the rest of the secondary kids are going to transition. At the elementary grades, they've been going at it for, I guess this is now their third week, and we've had success. Now at the elementary, we have had a few transitions, things like choir and PE, but nothing else. At the secondary level, we haven't had any transitions other than athletics, really. So it has worked out. Now, when I say it's worked out, there have been quite a few parents that have elected to stick with at home, online learning, because essentially their kids are doing the same thing at home as they would be doing in their pod, just without a human there to help them in person.
So do they have to walk in a particular path through their home to get to their home pod? No, that's just a little bit of a joke. That was just a little.
They do. They have so they get checked in at the front door, and we have spots marked, as you saw in the video,
Right.
outside of their rooms, and they know where to go. And like I said, especially our middle school, they've got it pretty well mapped out. They've done a heck of a job taking that one by the horns and getting after it. So,
Well, we're looking at some of these measures as well, and we're just curious. Have you ever spoken with any psychologists or psychiatrists as the result of any kind of long-term effects of personal isolation around these things? Have you guys had any kind of research done in that area?
No. I mean, we haven't. We've just we've kind of gone with the TEA guidelines that kind of suggest restricting whenever possible. The more that you can keep your groups together, the less issues you'll have when it comes to contact tracing and things like that, and spread. So we haven't sought out any other advice. I'll put it that way.
Interesting. And how are the parents taking all this?
Mixed. We've had quite a few that like I say, that was their reason that they elected to keep their kids at home, because they would be largely doing online learning, just simply at school instead of at home. It's been mixed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of support too, just because we have a large population that they want safety, and whatever, regardless of the cost. And so this is about the maximum amount of that you can get. Where we are right now.
And do you ever encounter any problem children who just say, "I'm not doing this. I'm not going to conform"? And how do you handle them?
What we've also done is separate from the pods. We've pretty much taken back any of our special needs kids that desire to come back, particularly things like life skills and behavior units and things like that. So those are obviously their own challenges, and we've had to take some measures and make sure that our staff that are staffing those rooms have additional PPE on top of just masks. So we've got all kinds of face shields and stuff like that going on there. But we've had to deal with them. We've had to deal with them to the extent of sending a couple of them home, and if they've not been able to handle it, they've had to transition to online learning for the time being, and then they'll get another crack at it here at some point. But so that's where we're at.
And we're looking at a timetable too. What's your timetable for, saying, okay, we're moving out of the pod learning experience, and we're going to go back to how we were teaching and working with our kids?
So we've got kind of a big, I wouldn't say date, but a big survey coming up here pretty quick. It's being released next week, and it's going to be what are the parents' intentions for the second grading period. We're on a 9-week here, so we'll be coming up on campuses, then we know that the pods are going to have to go there, and we'll have to go back to a more traditional schedule with with continued social distancing and things like that. Now we also have, I don't remember exactly if it was in that video or not, but we have some sneeze guards and things like that, and we also have face shields for all the kids too. So we have some ways to mitigate even once we're back into that. But the big harm there, or at least the big danger there, is the transmission during passing periods and having to really manage those haul times and things like that, because where that throws you for a loop, as you well know, is probably going to be the contact tracing. You can no longer with certainty say, all right, the positive person was around these students. All of a sudden that net can go a lot wider,
Interesting. And so if the parents said that we really don't want this, if you had a majority of the parents say, we're gonna push back on the safety. We've encountered some of this. If the parents push back on some of the safety, say we really are more willing to take a chance on other sort of more preventative issues like or measures like supplementations with vitamins and these sorts of things. Would you guys be open to that kind of option?
That's probably the first I've heard of that. Now, as far as supplementation with vitamins and things like that, but we've done lots of surveys with our parents, particularly over the summer, and we would always listen to what the community has to say about anything, really, and take that into account.
Now we have another extreme faction, very into safety, and they would even go as far as wanting to have some kind of implantable chip inside their students to be tracked.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you think you guys would ever go down that path?
Oh, no.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's very good to know. Well, listen, this has been very informative. I'm going to take some of this information back to our people, and I really appreciate your time.
What part of the state are y'all in?
Oh, we're in the southern, out there by, you know where Iran is? You know where that is, Iran?
Yes.
Yeah, we're out there.
Man, well, y'all, I can imagine, because I know especially the politics vary around, and y'all, from what I know, I guess y'all's cases have been fairly limited, so I'm sure y'all are having all kinds of different things to worry about. How big of a district are y'all?
We're small. You know that, right? But so it's not a very populated area. So,
Yeah.
But we just saw your video. We just wanted to get some feedback from somebody who's taken a very thorough approach with this.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate that.
All right.
There you go. True believer. Absolute true believer. No, there really is in Iran. You kind of put me on the spot there. Wow, there is an Iran, Texas. I had to really reach there. So there you go. Makes it a crime to intercept or record any wire unless one party to the conversation consents. Yeah. So I'll just take this video down. There it is. Thanks for pointing that out, though. So one-party consent law makes crime subject to court anywhere unless one party to the car. Well, I consented. All good. Texas wiretapping laws, one-party consent. Or anywhere or electronic unless one party to the I consented. There you go. There's a China, Texas too. Yeah. Look, the guy's earnest. He's earnest. I tried to figure out how to go in there. If you want a second perspective, you can call me. No, maybe I'll bring you on the show. Look, the guy is obviously convinced that it's a big deal. You're getting kind of an insight into an order follower, right? An order follower. It's really, a lot of this is driven by the parents. If there were enough parents that said, no, we don't want to do this, they probably would wind up saying, okay, we'll listen to you. The interesting thing was that he said that they'd look at the numbers, and if there were more kids at home doing the home learning, then they would probably revisit how they would, work out the dynamics of the isolation stuff, or the whatever that protocol is. Yeah, I was going to ask him. Yeah, so we got one party consent here. It's all good. The pods. Someone at the school district must watch that much. Do not tell him you recorded this. This might cause problems. No, it's one party consent. Lori picked it up. Let's see. What else? I love how he equated that's really interesting. And I was going to bring that up, Emily. He went right into special needs as being nonconformist. That was interesting. Like they had to have a whole special protocol with can we call people daily? We could. When I was a kid, I was a master phone pranker. You have no idea some of the shit I pulled off. The guy's administrator, he needs his job to implement it. Well, there you go. I mean, but that's what happens, right? I mean, everybody who doesn't everybody who would stop doing their job essentially would throw a wrench in the system. But that's how it works. You'd have to sacrifice, and it would have to be enough people, because we know that, guess what? Somebody else would be right there willing to take your job. Right? That's what happens. So much for special ed inclusion law. At least they won't chip. Yeah, I was going to see how far he was going to go. Like, how far can we take this? Maurice has a really good point. The age of the parents of the school systems are in their 20s and early 30s. They've been educated. Yep. Indoctrinated is probably more the term, but yes. Annie and I would like to make that a part of your daily program. Do a call to a representative. I've done it before. That is a great pickup, Maury. Let's see. Anything else? Anybody else? That's why it's brainwashing the masses is the key to the rollout. Absolutely. Absolutely. I wonder if there is a Fitzgerald school district in Texas. I don't know why I came up with that. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what we got here. Oh, look. There's Fitzgerald Elementary School in Arlington. Let's see. So there is a Fitzgerald in Arlington. It's a school, but not a district. I don't know why I came up with that. Let's see. District detail, Fitzgerald Public Schools. Oh, that's in Mississippi. All right. Fitzgerald Elementary School. So Arlington has some Fitzgerald going on. Okay. I was nice to the guy, wasn't I? I was cool with him. There wasn't anything. I wasn't doing anything abusive to the dude, right? It was just a fact-finding mission. That's all it was. Fact-finding mission. But he was very earnest about the whole thing. I'd like to know if he was funded extra for this. I don't think he was funded. I think school district was funded. It's so sad that people have not been taught to think for themselves. Thinking for yourself will be considered a mental illness. They're already working on it. Thinking for yourself is connected to rugged individualism. And, oh, by the way, rugged individualism is part of intersectionality. Yep. Catch more flies with honey. Yeah, because I was thinking, like, how am I going to go in and approach this call, right? Like, do I want to turn the flamethrower on, or do I want to like get some information out of that fellow? So I went for the latter route. Yeah. It's the earnest ones that will load you into a wood chipper. You're absolutely right, Sigurd. You're absolutely right, right? Because they believe, they're the true believers. They're the true believers. And they'll do what they're told. They will do what they're told. Yeah, no, it just popped into my head. I don't know where it came from. All right. God, I got to drop one more. I got to drop one more. You treated him with respect. You did a great job in the school district, the public. He wants to keep his job. Absolutely. It's unfortunate. Very unfortunate. That was really interesting too, Paulette. You bring some. I talked about the minerals, the vitamins and the minerals. I said, well, that's the first we've heard of something like that. Right? It's like, whoa! News from Mars, vitamins, supplements, and minerals. It's like, wow, that's crazy. That's a crazy idea. Oh my God. All right. I gotta just break this thing. I have to go do a COVID-19 screening for assumed symptoms. I will listen on the way home. Good luck, Robin, with that. Okay. Let's see. So how do I frame this? Have not been a big fan of POTUS's response to the ongoing civil crisis the country is experiencing. There is no mention of Antifa. The head of FEMA or DHS, Chad Wolf, basically has said that the most dangerous element in our society is white supremacists, which I find odd. Right? So they said the most dangerous element in our society is white supremacists. No mention really of the arsons in the Oregon area. No mention of the catch and release. Nothing. 2 nights ago, Tucker Carlson pointed out that George Soros, whoever George Soros is at this point, has been funding most of these, riotous programs, and that there's a lot going on with the district attorneys who are involved in the catch and release programs. Again, kind of Soros funded. And he had a guy on from Florida who was talking about this and brought it up. Well, guess what? That video with him talking about it was banned. So Facebook, YouTube, they all took it down. Okay. I think Fox even took it down. Like, there's a weird moment in, I guess it's about a week ago, where, what's his name? Newt Gingrich was bringing up George Soros. Have you guys seen the video? It is really fucking bizarre. It's totally bizarre. It's one of the most awkward moments of TV I've seen. Let me see if I can find the video. Maybe they've taken that down too. Let's do this. There's a reason why I'm bringing this up. Now, I don't want anybody else's commentary. I want the straight raw stuff. Right, here it is. This is like one of the most awkward frickin' videos I've ever seen. Watch this. And then I'm going to connect it back to another point here. and I know most of you have seen this, but some of you haven't, and some of you folks in the UK and some of these other areas probably haven't seen this. So I'm going to go full screen on this one. Now watch what happens here. We'll give him his due. That's fine.
Destroyed by this violence.
Yeah, it's so true. They represent everybody, right? Speaker Gingrich, I know you have a final thought for us.
Yeah, look, the number one problem in almost all these cities is George Soros elected left-wing, anti-police, pro-criminal district attorneys who refuse to keep people locked up. Just yesterday, they put somebody back on the street who's wanted for 2 different murders in New York City. You cannot solve this problem, and both Harris and Biden have talked very proudly about what they call progressive district attorneys. Progressive district attorneys are anti-police, pro-criminal, and overwhelmingly elected with George Soros' money, and they're a major cause of the violence we're seeing because they keep putting the violent criminals back on the street.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this.
I was going to say you get the last word, Speaker.
He paid for it. I mean, why can't we discuss the fact that millions of dollars?
I agree with Melissa. George Soros doesn't need to be a part of this conversation.
Okay. So it's verboten.
All right, we're going to. Okay, we're going to move on. A historic day at the White House.
Oh, God. Whoa. Whoa. That is just weird. Now, you have to understand, Newt Gingrich, at one point in time, was theoretically a very powerful individual. And when he was bringing in basically sort of the new Republican conservative wave, right? That was what he was tasked with. And in that moment, he was just completely undercut by that woman and then the other woman who didn't really stand by him or up for him. And that Anita said, oh, it's verboten. Verboten. So why is George Soros verboten? Why is Soros never really mentioned nor talked about by the current administration? Why is that? I'll show you why. Let's see, where is it? Right here. Okay. So there's a very interesting relationship with DJR and Soros, and not just DJR, but also Jared Kushner. Apparently, they've both taken loans from this man. So let's get into this a little bit. Now, this is from March 19th, 2016. Okay, so this is in the run-up to the election. Now, I'm just showing this to you, not because I am anti-Trump or want to dump on Trump, but I'm trying to, this is, for all intents and purposes, this is a channel that's dedicated to whatever truth we can, flesh out here. So in the spirit of that, I am going to read this because it makes complete sense when it comes to not talking about Antifa, not talking about George Soros, and not even moving George Soros, who theoretically is still alive, although who knows, who actually has a residence in upstate New York, not cutting off any of the funding, any of the money going to the NGOs or any of the foundations or anything that is connected to Soros, right? So let's read this. In 2005, Trump started construction on his skyscraper, the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago. To build the tower, Trump received a loan from Deutsche Bank. Now, there's another interesting player, right? for $650 million. Now, $650 million in 2005 is a big chunk of change now. Trump also received a $160 million mezzanine loan from a group of private investors, including George Soros, Fortress Investment, and the Blackacre Capital Group. The loan was estimated by the Wall Street Journal of having a total value as high as $360 million with accrued interest. By October 2008, Trump had sold nearly $600 million in condo and condo hotel units, more than half of the total value of all the units in his tower. Okay, so about halfway through. After 7 years, 2005 to 2012, Trump was on his way to paying off his main construction loan to Deutsche Bank. For reasons unexplained to the public, the majority of Trump's mezzanine loan was quietly forgiven by the loan's original lenders. Let's go back. Who are they? George Soros, Fortress Investment Group, and Blackacre Capital. Okay. No media outlet was covering the deal has put together the pieces and told the public that George Soros let Donald Trump off the hook for what has been valued between $82 and $312 million in debt. Why would Soros give what amounts to a massive debt relief to Trump during a financially successful period in Trump's life? Are these men friends, enemies, or business partners? We have come across information related to a long and bizarre financial debt deal between Donald J. Trump, George Soros, Fortress Investment, and the Blackacre Capital Group, a deal discovered by following a specific ongoing money trail and likely partnership between these entities. In 2005, when Trump began financing the construction lifts of the tallest residential tower in North America, the Trump International Tower, he needed more than just the basic loan. So the mezzanine loan, we know all this. Mezzanine financing is basically debt capital. Michael knows all about this. That gives the lender the rights to convert an ownership or equity interest in the company if the loan is not paid back in time and in full. So if Trump could not pay that mezzanine loan back, that would mean that Soros and these two other entities would have an interest in the property. Since mezzanine financing is usually provided to the borrower very quickly with little due diligence on the part of the lender and little or no collateral on the part of the borrower, this type of financing is aggressively priced, with the lender seeking a return in the 20 to 30% range. So this is essentially like like getting money from a loan shark in on the streets. This is like a mafia loan shark loan is what it is. Soros, along with Fortress and Blackacre, came to Trump with just such a loan at a costly $160 million principal. The Wall Street Journal had valued the loan at as much as $360 million, depending on the length of the time it accrued interest. So this is all from the Wall Street Journal. It's right there. Donald Trump has lined up 3 New York hedge funds, including money from billionaire George Soros, to invest $160 million in a Chicago skyscraper, a key piece and perhaps the largest construction financing in the city's history, according to the real estate sources and public documents. The massive financing, which sources say also will include a $650 million construction loan from Deutsche Bank. So he's getting close to $1 billion here. Let's see. A loan document says Mr. Trump could have to pay Fortress as much as $360 million, depending on how long the loan accrues interest. Combined with the Deutsche Bank senior loan, he would owe more than $1 billion in total. So that's the $1 billion total. And this is from 2008 right there, okay? By 2008, the tower was almost complete, and Trump had sold nearly $600 million in condo and condo hotel units, more than half the total value of all units in the tower. So far, Mr. Trump has lined up buyers for a bit less than 600 million of condo units, right? So he has closed around 200 million in sales so far, with roughly 380 million still intact. So he's getting close. He had a 16, and by 2012, he had a 69% occupancy rate. As Crane Chicago put it, the region's housing and condo market is still mired in a historic slump. But when it comes to buying and selling Chicago's high-end condo market, life is surprisingly good. Condominium owners at the $850 million Trump International Hotel and Tower and other newer top-end buildings, more often than not, experience value appreciation when they sold in recent years. So Trump is on the right side of this transaction. While Trump is not yet making profit on his tower, his sales and value appreciations were such that his building was generating significant revenue, more than enough revenue to pay back his lender large portion of the loans. As former New York real estate developer David Rose writes in his article, How to Pay Off a Skyscraper. Okay. After a number of years have passed, several things are likely to have happened. One, the mortgage has been significantly paid down. Two, the value of the underlying building has increased. And three, the owner has waited for a time in the economic cycle where mortgage rates are low. At that point, they will refinance the original mortgage and put the balance to work somewhere else where it can make even more money. That's from 2012. Fortunately for Trump, favorable financial conditions existed in 2012. By all accounts, including his own, Trump was ready and able to pay off the loans for Chicago Tower. Yet Trump did not have to worry about paying back the majority of his mezzanine loan. A special group of lenders came in and erased a significant portion of this obligation. The group was the original mezzanine loan lenders, Soros, Fortress, and Blackacre, all of whom decided to forgive Trump's future interest payments on the loan, selling it to him at the massively reduced price of $48 million. To put that in starker terms, Soros and the others effectively gave Trump possibly hundreds of millions of dollars in debt forgiveness, while cutting down the principal of his loan by $82 million. Basically, Soros and the others forgave Trump as much as $312 million for no apparent reason. Donald Trump has paid $48 million to buy out junior creditors on his 92-story condominium and hotel project. The New York developer says he bought the debt, which had a face value of $130 million, back from a group of creditors led by Fortress Investment Group. So, essentially, what is happening here? So let's go there. Okay. The aforementioned shows us that in 2012, Trump had already paid off most of the Deutsche Bank loan before Soros, etc., came in and wiped out most of the mezzanine debt. This raises the question, why wasn't Trump expected by Soros, Fortress, and Blackacre to pay back their riskier, high-interest mezzanine loan? Also, how is Trump able to pay down his Deutsche Bank loan, demonstrating the means to pay off all his loans, yet still have Soros and others forgive him somewhere between $82 million and $312 million in debt forgiveness? Additionally to that, why have we heard almost nothing about this gigantic giveaway to Trump? And why were Soros and Blackacre, two of the three main investors in the mezzanine loan, scrubbed from the media's coverage of the final debt forgiveness deal? These are really important questions. Okay? And here's all the sources. If we were to rely on the original figure of the $160 million principal, this would be a $112 million giveaway on the loan's principal to Trump. Now, again, I am not here to, vilify Trump. People make deals all the time. They make deals in business. They make deals in politics. This is kind of a big boy, big girl world, right? And ideas like statesmanship and integrity and in character, They look good at a press conference, but when you boil it right down to it, it's not something that the political world is run on. So I'm not saying that Trump has to be a Boy Scout. I'm not saying that any president has to be a Boy Scout. I have open eyes with these sorts of things. What I am saying and am trying to put a piece together with is the fact that there was a financial connection with George Soros. And George Soros is never mentioned. He's never been fingered through Antifa. And when he is mentioned by somebody like Newt Gingrich or Tucker Carlson, those mentions are scrubbed. And Tucker Carlson talked about Soros again last night. Okay. I'm not a huge Soros boogeyman guy. I'm not. But the fact of the matter is that he is a focal point, certainly was a focal point in 2008, right? He's a focal point, and he is somebody who is like a financial node, right? That's what he is. He's a financial node. If indeed he still even exists. Maybe his son Alex is running things now. I don't claim to know the complete ins and outs of George Soros's, relationship with this mortal coil at this time. And quite frankly, in some ways, he doesn't even really have to exist. His kid exists. Whatever foundations and whatever kinds of networks, they exist. And so he can be the front man. And of course, Alex Jones talks about Soros all the time. He can. Right? But I've always felt like Soros has been more of like a kind of a Jacob Schiff figure or a Bernard Baruch kind of figure, where the real money was behind both Schiff and Bernard Baruch, although Baruch had his own money. They were part of a network, right? And that was coming out of kind of the Rothschild, Goldsmith banking network in Europe. So George Soros, for me, has always been that person, right? He's been like the Mandarin. He's been the boogeyman, but there is power and money behind Soros. Nonetheless, there is the network. I'm sure there are clear financial connections that are based through Soros and in his name, particularly his son, Alex. Now, we also know that Jared Kushner took a loan from Soros as well. So now we have two parts of the Trump administration. And again, there's no mention of anything related to Soros. Period. End of story. And if it's true that it is the Soros network that is, and it's a network. Think of the Soros network more of like a money laundering sort of has more of a money laundering function than an actual sort of network, but with a net effect. And the net effect is that the money gets funneled through a number of these groups, starting with Tides and the Open Society and all these other affiliations. And there are people in the downstream that are managing that. A number of people downstream managing those things. So whether Soros exists or not at this point is kind of irrelevant. But what does exist is the mechanism through which the money is moved and goes into the various tributaries, of which there are quite a few. And we do know that Alex Soros, his son, is still around and engaged in perhaps some role of organization and management. And you also have to understand that with these nonprofits, where a lot of the money is being funneled, is that there are boards that run nonprofits, and it's the people on the boards who are quite important in terms of how those monies are distributed. So again, there's absolutely no mention of any of this, and no mention of Antifa, and very little mention on the money and the catch and release program that takes place in a lot of the urban cities, American cities, particularly Portland, where it was clear they catch one guy who's starting to fire and they go out and he's starting to fire again. Not talked about. The administration does not really address that at all. And you know that they have the surveillance and the spyware and all the equipment available to track everything. They know exactly what's going on. Exactly. So this is to me, it's an issue. It's a real issue, and it's one that it's a thorny question, and I know there are a lot of people that want to trust the plan, and you know that there are a lot of disclaimers about why certain things have to be done at a certain time, right? So you know, but I have to bring this up because if we don't bring it up, then we're just turning a blind eye. And, you know, it's one of those C words that Lark in Texas was talking about. So it'll be, and look, and I still find Trump to be highly entertaining. I was watching his rally. The guy is fucking hilarious. He's hilarious, you know, and there is what I loved about Trump when he came in were two things. Number one, it was the disruptive nature, which I knew was coming. I knew the disruption was coming. And then the idea that he could turn things on their ear, and talk about things like, you know, how the media lies, fake news. These have all been, I think, very, very powerful and relevant topics that have been addressed and brought up through his administration. Right. I think these are important. And I also think that there was an energy when Trump came in, and I think that energy was important. But what happened with the energy is that immediately it started to get slammed. And I'm not even talking about the energy of the Trump administration, like what was going on with him inside those four walls in the 202. No, I'm talking about the energy that was unlocked during that time for individuals. But there was a current there that you could ride for a while, and it was a really, really good current. And when those things happen, you're supposed to, you know, life's an energy game, right? When those currents are available, man, you're supposed to ride those currents and use the energy. So for whatever, your own endeavors, your own works, your own projects. And so I was in favor of all of that. And I was in favor of the disruption that was coming, right? But now we've seen that the disruption is now moving into a place where it's being managed, and it's being managed and controlled. So, you know, I think we had a period there in roughly the first probably year and a half, even before Trump was getting elected, there was like that period there. And now we're in a different place. So the energy is quite different at this point. And we can't always, you know, set our sails based on the energy in the environment, although sometimes it can be quite good. We have to be able to, you know, in sailing, you know, there's this thing called tacking, right? You tack and you sort of adjust your sails if you're sailing into the wind. Sort of like when you were a kid and you were trying to ride a bicycle up a hill, you would go zigzag, right? You'd kind of go up and you'd use the downward momentum to continue to go up the hill, right? Because if you want to go straight up the hill, you're in trouble, you know, especially if you're using a one speed bike. So, you know, we're in a time now where we have to do some that was weird. In a collective sense, then we can really, you know, go, as they say in sailing, wing on wing, and cover a lot of ground. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up so that people kind of understand why some of these dynamics are existing and perhaps even being allowed to exist because of debts, agreements, prior relationships that shall not be spoken of. And I will give Trump some credit here on the Sheldon Adelson front. Seems like he's moved away from Sheldon Adelson. The debt that he owed Sheldon Adelson, which was moving the embassy to Jerusalem, he took care of that debt, right? So I believe the Adelson-Trump connection has probably been more or less severed. But Trump's a business guy. I don't think he cuts anybody out ever for good unless it's a really terrible case of just, fucked up loyalty, which apparently he's very big on. So at the very least, he seems to have moved on from Adelson. What will it take to move on from the so-called Soros connection? Would it be a re-election? Will that be it? And what happens post-election? We'll get into more of that as the days go on. But again, I just wanted to show that to you. So if you are trying to figure out perhaps why it's never addressed, there's your potential reason. Okay? All right. Let's see. JP says, I love the U.S. I love every country I've been in. I am here. I have opinions on my perception of the world. Voting to me is participating in a horrible system. It's not great. It is not great. What else do we have? All of this just brings me back to where we're the ones we've been waiting for. Stop waiting for the outside savior. Not going to happen. That's true. But do you know who used that phrase, we were the ones that we've been waiting for, is Obama. Obama used that phrase. Is this online school? This just came up into my feed. It is online school. Crazy kid. Crazy kid. Stick around, crazy kid. You might learn something. My mother, Fox News addict, holds the media in contempt. The exception of her beloved Fox News. Tucker's about the only person you can trust inside of Fox News. And even Tucker has his limits. Let's see. No new wars in 4 years. Now, there's a war going on right now. It's right here in this country. Right here in this country. We are at war. So yes, Ryan, this is true. No new wars in 4 years, which is good. We are appreciative of that. And this is something that, but we're in a soft war with China, theoretically, right? Trade war, soft war. We're definitely at war with each other now. Then that's the irony, right? I mean, no new wars abroad, but we are engaged in very, very deep conflict here. So I agree with you, and yet look what we're dealing with. What is this? What is this? Well, let's see. What is this? Well, put you in a bit of a timeout. Maybe you can find out by watching. Invisible War. COVID is a war. There you go, Christine. Spot on. Spot on. Yes. See, I feel like a teacher now. You just had a little time out. You just had a little time out. Absolutely, there's a war on. Yep. Interesting how the Republican candidates' ads are all organized by the slogan "Red Wave." You know what's really interesting is that if you go back, let me do this. I'm going to show you something. This is how the world has been turned upside down. I'm going to show you how inverted the world. But Trump did not start these wars. No, he didn't start the wars. I agree with you. He did not start the wars. But I will say this is that he has enabled these wars to take place, and I've shown that. I've shown that, and that any president could say, "Hey, look, civil rights are being violated here," right? And we can send the troops in. Then we get back to the optics thing, and right. And meanwhile, cities burn. We're in a phase of decentralization and balkanization. Okay, that's where we're at. That's happening. And and I don't think Trump is dumb at all. I think Trump is actually very, very bright. extremely bright, and he knows who he's dealing with. Like, you don't get into business and play in the business world without being able to size people up very quickly. And I'm sure he's quite good at that. And for me, again, we're going to see how this plays out, right? But the whole Fauci thing and the Birx thing and, the daily pressers, that whole thing to me was just utterly painful. And the legitimacy that was given to Sir Anthony Fauci was just, in my estimation, ridiculous. And he let Pence run that thing, which is probably smart because at least, he's not running it. But Pence is not to be trusted. And he brought Birx in from Indiana. He brought Jerome Adams in from Indiana. And he brought in Dr. Fauci Stein. And really early on, if I were Trump, I would look at Fauci and said, look, we got to get this guy out of here. We've got to change this narrative here. Who else here? What about this Scott Atlas guy? Or what about somebody inside the CDC who may be more manageable and have kind of a level of gravitas that would get close to Fauci, right? We got to get this guy out of here. So now there are people who would say that Trump has no power now. That's the other side of this, is that I think it was March 13th that he, apparently something happened, created a state of national emergency, and now the country's being run by DHS and FEMA. That's another part around this, which is obviously something that's worth talking about. But I just want to show you something before we get out of here. And I get where you're coming from, Ryan. I totally get where you're coming from. I just feel like there could have been a little bit more proactivity. Okay. I want to show you something. This is a trip now. Okay. This is, let's see. Let me go here. Let me get out of the full screen. Hold on. Let me just do this. I'm only going to play a little bit of this, but I want to show you guys what's happening with here we go. You're going to check this out. So this is a real interesting trip back into time. And you don't have to watch the whole thing, but if you have some time, go back and watch the coverage for the 1980 presidential election. I'm going to show you a little bit of it. All right, so this is 11/4/80. Now, no thanks. Now, set the stage. This is Reagan versus Carter. And I'm going to show you a couple things here that are very, very interesting. First of all, they're still talking about black and white TVs. I'm going to play a little of this. Here we go.
Decision 80. NBC News reports the results of our national election. From the NBC News Election Center in New York, here are Tom Brokaw and John Chancellor.
Good evening and welcome to...
So John Chancellor is the point person. A young Tom Brokaw is coming into the fold here. To the left, we have Jessica Savage. And at some point, you will see David Brinkley.
NBC News' coverage of the 1980 presidential election. Our team of correspondents, analysts, pollsters, and commentators is assembled here in New York and around the country to see if Jimmy Carter can win re-election or if Ronald Reagan will be going to the Oval Office. We have been polling around the country in the key states, NBC News and the Associated Press, and what we're learning in the key states is that makes us believe that Ronald Reagan will win a very substantial victory tonight.
All right, so we are in 48 seconds of this coverage. 48 seconds, and they're predicting Reagan as a landslide winner, which he was. Let's keep going.
Very substantial. That's our belief as of the moment, based on polls in key states. And we have two projected states in the presidential race which tend to support that view. In Florida, NBC News projects Ronald Reagan the winner of Florida's 17 electoral votes. And so we will put on our map in blue, for those of you who are watching in color, dark gray and black and white.
Do you hear that? Dark gray and black. Okay. So there are two things that have happened already here. They've already given Reagan Florida. Now, look at the color of the state. He's a Republican. And it's blue.
We'll make Florida our projected winner for Reagan. We have the electoral vote, therefore, given the fact that we had projected Indiana for Reagan earlier, is now 30 for Reagan.
So they've just projected. They're just giving him electoral votes, okay? There you go. You got 30. Reagan will win this election like Carter will win his state, right? So Reagan wins the election. And these guys are local. They're hilarious. They're from D.C. You can see. Here's a young Tom Brokaw. You can see him. Right, here we go.
News continues its election night report. Here are John Chancellor and Tom Brokaw.
Good evening once again. It is early on this election night, but already there is a lot of good news for Ronald Reagan of California on our election map and a lot of bad news for Jimmy Carter, the president from Georgia. We have a state just coming in. NBC News now projecting that Ronald Reagan will win the state of Ohio and its 25 electoral votes. Reagan wins Ohio, a big key industrial state in the Midwest. Its 25 electoral votes go into his column. He'll add those to Indiana, Virginia, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida, all colored blue on the NBC News election map. That means they go into Ronald Reagan's column, and that.
So there you go. There's Jimmy Carter's red state. All right. So there's Garrett Gutley. So by the time we get into the first, a lot of local shit here. All right. So here we go. We're an hour in now. Now watch this.
Electoral votes we project for Reagan. And finally, the big one, Texas, 26 electoral votes. We color blue or light gray, if you're watching in black and white, for Ronald Reagan. The map is turning blue for Reagan. Tom, can you tell us how many electoral votes that adds up to now?
I can right now. We're going to show you on your screens at home. Remember, the number that is needed, 270. Ronald Reagan already at 252.
So we're an hour into the election, okay? And then a little more local stuff, more local. Here we come, coming back now. Again, we're a little over an hour in.
Last time with about 80% of the vote. A very high tally, but not unexpected. That brings the electoral standings to Carter 15, 12 from George.
So Carter got a little bump there. Here's this clown.
Home state. Well, this evening, George Lewis, who covered the Bush campaign all year long, talked with George Bush.
Yeah. I did hear the NBC report. I think it's too early to do anything but at least have your hopes up at this point.
Are you surprised by that at all?
Yes, because I've felt that it would be very, very close, and it still might well be. But I must say it's more encouraging to have these so-called exit polls speaking favorably.
With the findings going your way.
Is he creepy or what? All right, here we go. This is where I think they nail it right here.
This early in the evening, I called for Richard Nixon in 1972, a little bit earlier than this, but this will go down as one of those nights when we are calling very early, and there's the evidence on the map. Reagan has, as Tom has pointed out, the western states still to come. And we saw little softness for him in most of those western states, some doubts about the ones in the Northwest, Oregon and Washington. California was leaning. We do not see, given what evidence we have now, that the president will be able to overtake Reagan at all, and certainly not in the West. And most of the big industrial states now, New York has not been projected yet, but most of those big states are in, and Reagan took them.
I can't, a personal note, I can't help but recall in 1966 riding around in a Greyhound bus with him, with Lynn Nofziger, as he was trying to win the Republican nomination.
Okay.
As you say, those
are really devastating figures. We have Judy Woodruff standing by at a not very happy place tonight. It is the White House, and they have been
So the thing that killed Carter.
And then Ronald Reagan began to say to them, I ask you this question.
So the Iran hostage crisis absolutely killed Carter, amongst other things. And of course, we know that was engineered. Now here comes David Brinkley, and every time he wants to talk, Tom Brokaw at some point taps him on his forearm and says, "Enough of you."
Are you happier and more secure today than you were 4 years ago? And I believe that it is that question, simplistically, spread out across the country, that began to work very well for him in the closing days of the campaign. And then on debate night in Cleveland a week ago tonight, he proved not to be an ogre or a monster or a guy eager to drop bombs across the landscape. In the eyes of the public, those are the perceptions.
Well, I don't want to knock the polls because I believe in them and they generally do very good.
Anyway, so Reagan is declared the winner of the election within the first 2 hours. Really by hour number 1, within 43 seconds of this broadcast, they're declaring him winner, president. And probably that's the case because Carter had done a piss poor job, is set up to fail, and then become an agent of demoralization. Right? An absolute agent of demoralization. But I just wanted to show you also how inverted this is. You see how the Republican experience was blue and the Democrats were red, and how it's flipped. Isn't that interesting? Very interesting. Okay. I'm out of here. Ed Snowden was in an article in Zero Hedge today. Has fluffy hair. It reminds me of Tom Brokaw's hair. I had a Tom Brokaw moment. When I was in Georgia one time. It was at the Olympics. And I was standing outside of this cafe. And I was drinking some hot tea and eating a scone. I had my dog with me. And this limo rolled up. And Tom Brokaw pops out of the limo. I just like... Yeah, had you ever had that moment like you recognize somebody? It's like, where do I know this guy from? And he pops out of this limo. And I look at him and he looks at me and he goes, "Good morning." Give me that Tom Brokaw. Good morning. I was like, okay. And Tom Brokaw looked a little weathered, by the way. So slightly weathered. Jimmy Carter. I've looked on a lot of women with lust. I've committed adultery in my heart many times. He's a Libra, of course. That's what Libras do. Mental shit. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Did I hear what Trump said about Meghan Markle? What, is he going to kick him out? I heard he might be kicking Meghan and Harry out. That's what I heard. Look, Trump is entertaining. At the very least, man, the guy is entertaining as hell. He's totally entertaining. I just feel like there are gaps. You know what I'm saying? There are gaps there. All right. I may not be on tomorrow's show. I may not have a show tomorrow. I'm just letting you know. I could be in transit. But I will be back on Sunday night. Okay. And next Friday, it's going to be the Friday Forecast right here, Hill Country. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great time. And looking forward to seeing everybody. Things are coming together nicely. And I'm still doing astrological readings, obviously, as my other gig. And got a lot of great activities planned for everybody. We're going to have a really, really good time. All right. Use your head in order to discern what's real. Your heart to set what's possible. Robert Phoenix. Have yourself a very good day.